Hey there guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to take a look at the iPhone XR in 2021. So the iPhone XR was released back in 2018 alongside the iPhone XS and XS Max, and it came in at a price of $699 US plus tax, and it varied based on the storage size you chose. So at launch you had 64 gig, 128 gig, and 256 gigs. It is still sold now, so you can still buy this from Apple right now, and it is at $499 plus tax for the 64 gig model, and then add another $50 and you get 128 gigs. So it did come in a couple of different colors, which you can still buy, of course. All these colors are still available. So we have the product red, yellow, white, coral, black, and blue. And then the display on this, we have a 6.1 inch display here, and that also carried over to the iPhone 11. It is what they call a liquid Retina HD display, which is basically an LCD display, has a resolution of 1792 by 828, and had 326 pixels per inch. 1400 to 1 contrast ratio, included True Tone display, had a wide color P3 color gamut, haptic touch instead of force touch, which they got rid of. It does have 625 nits of max brightness, which will still be pretty visible outside. Now we do have an IP67 dust and water resistance here, so it can be in a maximum of 1 meter of water for up to 30 minutes. Now, the newer iPhones do have better water resistance, so they have IP68 versus the IP67 this one does. So this does have the A12 processor, which was shared with the iPhone XS and XS Max, and is also used in the new iPad 8th generation. It does have 3 gigs of RAM, while some of the newer iPhones come with 4 and 6 gigs of RAM, but you can still see the performance is really still good on this phone. The iPhone XR does have a 2,942 milliamp hour battery, and it does offer fast wired charging as well as wireless charging here. So for wireless charging, you can go up to 7.5 watts. Of course, the newer iPhone 12 models can do up to 15 watts with the MagSafe charger. So the design of the iPhone XR is very similar to the iPhone X and XS and XS Max. So as you can see on the front, we do have a 6.1 inch display. That was new for 2018. It is an LCD display, so the bezels on it around the edges are a little bit larger than the other phones, as those had an OLED display. On the front, we do have the Face ID camera and the notch, of course, as you can see right there. Hopefully you can kind of see. The notch is very large and hasn't really reduced in size very much over the years. Now, looking around here, we do have rounded edges all the way around here, and that's been pretty typical of iPhones since the iPhone 6. So this is the black model, but of course it came in those different colors. You look at the side profile here, you can see we do have our silent switch right there, and that is pretty typical of every iPhone. Every iPhone has had that. We do have the volume buttons right here. Those are pill-sized looking volume buttons. They are not together. They're actually separated buttons right there. Going down a little bit further here, you can kind of still see the antenna bands right there. Now, this iPhone is made with aluminum and glass versus stainless steel and glass like the higher end models. Taking a look at the bottom right here, you can see we have circular holes for our speaker and microphone, and we do have an equal amount on either side, unlike the newer iPhones that just came out this year. We do have our lightning port right there. On the opposite side, we do have a large power sleep button right there, and this also invokes Siri. You can see the antenna band right there. You can see our camera kind of jutting out right there. You do get more than one camera on the other phones. And if you take a look down here, you can see we have our SIM card slot right there. Taking a look at the back, of course, it is glass, and it would come in different colors. We do have the iPhone, or the Apple logo right here. It did move to the center with later iPhones, and then the iPhone branding right here. We also have our one 12 megapixel camera. We do have a microphone as well as an LED flash right there, and as you can see, it juts out just a little bit right there. So the iPhone XR is coming up on being 3 years old, but as you can see, it still does run the latest and greatest of iOS, so iOS 14 runs just fine on here. This one is a little outdated. We're currently on iOS 14.3 as of recording of this video, but everything in iOS 14 works just fine in here. So you do get the widgets, you get the little app panel, and all the goodies that come with iOS 14, and the phone runs just fine. So for performance on here, on Geekbench, this is the score we get. So we get a 1,115 single core score and a 1951 multi-core. If we take a look at this compared to the newest iPhone, the iPhone 12 Pro, that one gets a 1,596 single core and a 4,032 multi-core. So you can see over just 2 generations of phones, the newest phone has a really, really high score. But if you're still looking at the iPhone XR in 2021, it does have a great processor and a great score, because if we compare to a mid-ranger mid-range Android phone from last year. This one has a Snapdragon 765G. You can see that the single core score is still almost double the Android phone here, and then the multi-core score is still higher than this brand new phone from 2020. Right, now let's test out our social media apps and see how well they run on here. So first we'll go to Twitter. As you can see, that ran really nice. We can go all the way home. Just scroll right through here. We can create a tweet, cancel, go to our search here, go between the different parts here. Yep, works just fine. If we go to Instagram, that opens up pretty much instantly. Scroll right through here. You can like a post. If we want to go to our camera, that's quick. Go to our front camera here, works just fine. And if we want to go to TikTok, see how well that works. That opens up pretty instantly also. So we can scroll through our TikToks here. And that works pretty well. Go back through here. We can check our following section here. Check out all our stuff here. And check out mine. If you guys have a TikTok, feel free to follow me. But yeah, so it works pretty well. And then if we want to go back to Twitter here, check out our fleets. Yep, everything runs really, really well. All right, so now for a quick speaker test on here. So great thing is this does have stereo speakers, so it comes out of the bottom as well as through the earpiece. So let's go ahead and test that out real quick here. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. So the speakers on the iPhone XR are pretty loud, so how is the display? I'd say the display on this is pretty good. Now I know a lot of people rag on this for being a sub 720p display, but showing by this 4K sample, you can see colors and everything pop. It does have a really nice contrast ratio, and it does offer HDR. So even though it is sub 720p, it still is a really enjoyable experience even watching on this screen here. Now of course it doesn't compare to an OLED display like the higher end iPhones because of those deep blacks and those saturated colors, but this still looks really, really good, and I think it's still a great display even in 2021. Now, of course, the iPhone XR only has those two cameras, so we have that 12 megapixel on the back and we have that 7 megapixel up front. So we don't have an ultra wide, we don't have any night mode or anything like that, but we do still have pretty good cameras here. So I wanted to go ahead and give you a couple of sample shots and sample clips from these cameras. Here's a quick test of the front-facing camera on the iPhone XR. So this goes up to 1080p HD at 30 frames per second. So the iPhone XR is still offered for sale. If you wanted to buy a new one, you can buy it from Apple. So they still sell the 64 gig and the 128 gig model. So 64 gigs is $500 brand new, or add $50 and you get 128 gigs. And that is for a new one in any of those colors that they offer. So these colors again, white, black, blue, yellow, coral, and product red. And if you wanted to spend less, you can actually buy a used model for a good price also. So over here on Swappa, you can see we have some going for under $300. So it may not be in the greatest condition, but you can definitely find it for under $500. So you can get a pretty good 2-year-old phone right here with Face ID, with everything that comes with iOS 14, all the goodies there, and pretty good cameras here for just under $300, which is really, really cool. So just for reference also, the iPhone SE 2nd generation is in the older iPhone 8 body style, and that one runs $400 new. So you can get a used one of these for under the price of an iPhone SE brand new, which is pretty cool. So is the iPhone XR worth it in 2021? Oh, hell yeah, it is. It's still a great phone, has a great processor, and this processor is also shared with a couple other devices. So if you were to look for an iPhone XS or XS Max, that's going to have that A12 processor, and even some of the new iPads have the A12 processor. So that's a good processor, has a decent amount of RAM. Performance is still really good, even in 2021, and you get all the goodies that iOS offers and that the iPhone offers. So definitely still a good phone. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this quick video on the iPhone XR. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And if you like the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more like this, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video.